I'm going to tell you guys about one of the creepiest experiences that I had while I was visiting Salem. Now, our story takes us to the Witch History Museum, which is right on Essex Street. Now, when you go in, you're going to be met with a gift shop, and there's going to be a woman in costume who takes you through the exhibit. Now, the exhibit is a bit of a guided tour, which helped tell the story of the Salem witch trials. There's technically two parts of this experience. The first one just does some stage setting. It gives you the time, the who, what, where, when, and why. But the second part is that guided tour, and this is when your tour guide takes you down to this basement. That's when you go from exhibit to exhibit. Now, we get into this one area. It's me, two other girls, and the tour guide, so that makes four of us. And the tour guide is telling us about, I'm just going to use Giles Corey, for instance, because he's on the top of my mind. Now, there's one exhibit in front of us, and there's some mannequins that are standing like behind me and these two other girls. While I'm standing down there listening to the tour guide tell us about each one of these exhibits, there's one mannequin in particular that catches my eye. There is something very human about it. Now, what's weird is that as I was looking at the mannequin, I was like, the eyes on this thing are hyper realistic. And there are a bunch of mannequins in there. Some look more realistic than others, but this one, you know how like they say some dogs have human eyes? It's just kind of uncanny and a little bit eerie. Well, this mannequin had the same thing going on. In fact, the longer I stood there looking at it, the more uncomfortable that I got with it. And obviously the one in the background is not what I'm talking about, but it was a mannequin of like a Puritan girl. It was just hyper realistic. So I get kind of creeped out, and we move on to the next set of exhibits. But as we're walking away, I pass the mannequin and I say out loud, that mannequin was creepy. Now, the two other girls in my group were like, oh my God, we were thinking the exact same thing. It had human eyes. So we were all sitting there thinking the same thing. And there was no other mannequin, at least in my opinion, and I'm not too sure about the other two girls, that gave us that same vibe. But I'm not somebody who believes that mannequins are real, but I am somebody who believes, strangely enough, that there are certain energies that might just attach themselves to inanimate objects. And I know The Conjuring came out. I am somebody who thinks that you can have possessed items. And even though the building we were in was built in the 60s, I know this because I asked, that mannequin was insanely creepy. And again, there were plenty of mannequins down there during my trip to Salem. I also saw many more mannequins, but that one in particular was just, it was so odd. And everything about it, all of the oddness and the creepiness came from the eyes. The eyes were hyper realistic, and that was super uncomfortable. But I want to know if you guys had the same experience at the Salem Witch History Museum. And again, obviously this is not the mannequin. I wish I would have taken a picture of it, but at the time I was just really uncomfortable by it. Anyways, drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you plan on visiting Salem this Halloween. Let me know if you're curious about my other expeditions, and I will see you guys in my next video.